the Spanish-speaking Center of New Britain, but I'm a resident of Hartford for the past 20 years, and for the past 3, 4, 5 years been involved with a small group of activists called Community Party, through which I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Glenn Cassis of the African American Affairs Commission. Can't remember if it was 3 or 4 years ago when I first learned about the Alvin Penn Act. I had been concerned about discrimination, racial profiling, and anything related for many years, having grown up in the housing projects in New Britain and having friends of all colors, marrying outside my race, having mixed kids and grandkids, and worrying about my teenage grandsons who are brown, and their interactions on the street, and especially with police officers when you hear of all the things going on from Oakland to Florida and everywhere else. When I learned about the Alvin Penn Act and learned about the reports that were supposed to be filed and read through the history of that legislation and saw that the African American Affairs Commission had been tasked with pulling together these reports, I was appalled that only 25% of the municipalities were complying with the required reporting. I was appalled that the consequences that were supposed to happen as far as state funding being withheld to municipalities that were not in compliance never happened. So it was not surprising that there was not really an incentive for the police departments and Department of Public Safety to comply when there was really no uniform collection tool. And what Mr. Cassis had been receiving was all different types of reports with different data, different formats, and it was basically impossible for him to consolidate this into the yearly reports that were supposed to be turned in. As director of the Spanish-speaking Center and working in social services for 30 years at nonprofits, I've heard about tickets, harassments, verbal warnings, illegal searches, towings, arrests without cause, detentions without arrest, tickets with erroneous racial data, and that was actual tickets that were given. Imagine the traffic stop reports. For 3 years, I wrote language and submitted it to the legislators to change the racial profiling law. First year, indicting committee. Second year, 3 out of 5 recommendations passed, one of them being the establishment of an advisory commission. So we're pleased to see that happen. Actually, Mr. Cassis said that there would be federal money available should an advisory be in place. One of the critical pieces that we keep submitting is that we would like a copy of the traffic stop report to go to the motorist. The data can be falsified and compromised, and whether it's a small percentage of officers that are doing that, it is critical that the motorists know exactly how their race was represented in that report. We found many, many people who had actually gotten traffic tickets for one reason or another, and they were marked white when the person was obviously a person of color. One of the other things that we recommended was the addition of the word religion as a protected class. While Middle Eastern is a good start, it does not cover the many religions that would be obviously recognizable to police officers through different dress or headwear. When it was told to us that the police would not be able to determine whether or not a person was of a particular religion, we actually had drafted a copy of a report that they could do, and there was a little box that could have been checked off by the officers that said not visible. So that, you know, the person's religion was not visible, they had the option of checking that off. The copy of the traffic stop report actually passed into law 2 years ago, but for some reason it was pulled this year. It was supposed to go into effect July 1st. That was changed in favor of this new electronic reporting system that's going to kick in. Unfortunately, with the electronic system, there's going to be no copy given to the motorist. It's great that they're going to get a piece of paper that tells them where to file a complaint, and I'm happy to see that CHRO is now going to be allowed to take those complaints instead of just a person's local police department. But if the person doesn't know that the officer put in the report that they're white when they're obviously Hispanic, Muslim, or black, they might not really know that they were racially profiled and therefore would not generate a complaint. The other thing that was missing was immigration language, which is really critical right now because now people that are undocumented are gonna be able to have a driver's license in a year or two. So, what we wanted as included in the language for the racial profiling bill was that only motorists could be questioned, no passengers, but only motorists could be asked for license, registration, and insurance. That's it. No green card, no citizenship. It shouldn't be an issue. Local police officers should not be doing the work of immigration. So that was recommended for a couple years and it was pulled out. There have been some high profile cases. You have East Haven, you have stuff going on in New London. We have our own Denise Napier, stopped and profiled in the north end of Hartford. All these things, you know, they really need to be looked at, but if there's no paper trail, the motorist really has no recourse, and it's gonna be harder for them to prove they were racially profiled if they don't have a copy of that traffic stop report. One of the arguments against that was that the police officers might not have time to complete that report and print out a copy or give a duplicate copy to the motorist. But as I understand it, it's law. They have to write a traffic stop report after every stop anyway, so why not give a copy of it to the motorist? I can go on and on. You know, this issue is, you know, we talked about $1.2 million grant, 26 people on the advisory. That's great, but if the validity of the data is the most crucial thing, and there's really no way for a motorist to question what the officer puts in his report if he doesn't have a copy of that report. And the immigration language and the religion, those were other concerns that I had. So if anybody's interested, I've been looking at this and studying it for 3 or 4 years now, and it's really something that's really needs to get resolved. Thank you.
Thank you so much.